Broadcasting live from the Casey Jr. Circus Train, it's Contemporary Inc. with your host, me, Bill Blair, your Lorcana podcast. I know that I promised to come back with that championship deck series from 2 weeks ago, but I lied. It was a shameless lie. I got wrapped up with this Floodborn thing, and it's so good that I feel like I have to share. So we're gonna bank the notes that I've got for that championship deck series, and which we'll just do it later. I don't know when we're gonna do it. Will we do it next week? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe something else fun will happen, and we'll keep pushing it back. Maybe it'll never happen. You'll just have to keep tuning in to see. A lot of ink has been spilled describing the plotline and story of the Floodborn expansion that's coming out, oh my god, in like 20 days. Like, no joke, like 3 weeks, it's going to be out. And I'm not going to go into it. You can read up on it yourself. It's kind of convoluted. It's more of the same, but I like it. I think that if you're into the game, you'll kind of get where they're going with this. And if you're a Disney fan, I think you're really going to like where they're going with this because it's fun. The stuff they've got up on offer is really fun. We've covered some of these things before, but just for in case you missed that episode, some of the highlights are there's going to be more than 200 cards, so we're doubling the amount of cards available for play. And the new franchises are going to include Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Pinocchio, Zootopia, The Great Mouse Detective, which I'm actually quite excited about, The Jungle Book, and Raya and the Last Dragon. I've taken all the cards that I thought were kind of interesting and dumped them out by color. So we're going to start with Amber. And I'm not going to cover everything because, I mean, it would be kind of boring. And, you can look all this stuff up on your own. But I think you're going to see some themes pop up, and that's pretty cool. We'll start out with Mickey Mouse Friendly Face, and he costs 6. He's inkable, and he's a 1/6. Now, whenever this character quests, you may pay 3 less ink for the next character you play this turn. I think it's interesting. Oh, he also quests for 3. I think it's interesting that Mickey in here is presented as a friendly face and has a power of 1. Now, obviously, what you're paying for here is that ability to pay 3 less ink when he quests for the next character you play, and that's amazing. Can you imagine getting out a 9-cost character on turn 6 because Mickey helped you out there? I guess it'd have to be turn 7 because it's maybe anyway. We're also seeing a lot of shifting going on. Now that Mickey was Storyborn, but the next character we're gonna cover here is the evil. She's just the queen from Snow White, the evil queen, but commanding presence. And this particular one is Floodborn, and she shifts for 2. Who is the fairest? Whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character gets -4 attack this turn, and chosen character gets +4 this turn. Wow. I mean, for 5 ink, for a 4/3 that quests for 2, that's a mighty strong ability, and not too rare. Definitely something you could pick up a couple of online on the secondary market. Super quick, let's jump into some Raya the Last Dragon stuff. Now, I have not seen this film. I don't know what it's about, but for a non-inkable 2-cost card, Last Stand is an action, and it banishes chosen character who was challenged this turn. Imagine sending like a broom out or grandma, someone disposable to challenge that character, and then bam. For 2, to just banish that character outright. That's pretty that's pretty powerful, especially for something as available as this card. The next is a card, the Grand Duke, coming in from Cinderella. And he gives you the ability, 2, cost 2. He's a 2/2, quest for 1. And all of your prince, princess, king, and queen characters get +1 to attack just because. Just because he's in play. Imagine having a couple of those. You could double the power of some of your characters with just a couple of these cheap cards. I don't know if you the one, picture I have for this one is actually, I believe, in French. But for 7, you get Cobra Bubbles. Was that his name in Lilo and Stitch in English? I don't know. But the card costs 7 ink. It's a 5/9, and he quests for 2. This one's storyborn, so not a lot of fun going here, but definitely an imposing character. And if you get Mickey involved there, you could definitely cast this guy for a lot less. Wrapping up Amber, we've got Mulan reflecting, and Mulan's looking absolutely ravishing in her Floodborn regal attire. Shifting for 2, honor the ancestors. Whenever this character quests, you may reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a song card, you may play it for free. Otherwise, put it on the top of your deck. And she quests for 2. Wow. I mean, some of those song cards are like 9. And she's going to come out for a mere 4 and maybe play them. If you were a little keen to what was coming up, that would be real hot. Digging into Ruby here, there's a new card called Dinner Bell. Draw cards equal to the damage on a chosen character and then banish them. You got a card that's gonna die next turn anyway, gonna get banished regardless. You can exert this Dinner Bell, pay 2 ink, and just draw 4, 6, 8 cards. Oh my god. We got Raya coming in at 4 ink for a 5/3. Only quests for 1, but you need basic characters too. Coming back to Cinderella, we got Lady Tremaine, overbearing matriarch. Not for you. When you play this character, each opponent with more lore than you loses 1 lore. Hot damn. And this is for a 2-cost character. A 2-cost who is a 2/2. Do you know how many of these bounce characters? That's something we're going to get into in a hot minute. There is a lot of bounce characters in this set, and they're going to pop that Lady Tremaine back in your hand. You play her next turn, and just hammering your opponent, chipping away ever so slowly at their lead that they've got. Or maybe they don't have a lead. Maybe you're in charge. I don't know. Go questing. She quests for 1. Coming back to our need for just basic characters that aren't fancy or getting in the way with fancy abilities, we've got a Lumiere here from Beauty and the Beast, obviously. And Lumiere is inkable. He costs 7. He's a 7/7, and he quests for 2. If you just need some late game muscle, this guy is great. And you know what? You pull him in like turn 3, you can ink him too. So who knows? See what happens. Now this next one we're gonna look at, it's pretty common, nothing too exciting, but there's something on the card that we want to take note of, and that is a non-inkable Scar. Costs 7. Okay, 6/5, I guess. He's got rush, so he can challenge the turn he's played. I get it. He quests for 2, And during your turn, whenever this character banishes another character in a challenge, you may ready this character. He can't quest for the rest of the turn. Now, you'd think that you wouldn't have to add that he can't quest for the rest of the turn. It's kind of implied. If you've already quested, you can only quest once, or you couldn't challenge and then quest after that. But just think about that for a second. We're going to get back to it in a minute. Switching over to Emerald, probably one of my favorite bits of art, and this was released fairly early, is this Belle Hidden Archer. I got to admit, as a kid, I had a crush on Belle. I thought she was, strange but compelling. And here she is in a fur lined cloak. She's got a nice like recurve bow there, and she's knocked quite an interesting arrow. It's not just penetrating looking; it's also got a rose back where the fletching should be, and ooh, I want to know what she's doing with that. She's non-inkable, which is fine. She costs 5. She's a 3/3. So what are you getting for your money? She shifts for 3. Okay, that's nice. And she has those thorny arrows. Whenever this character is challenged, the challenging character's player discards all cards in their hand. So, if you got like one card that you've been saving, you're probably not going to challenge this character. She also quests for 3, which I think is really, that's exciting because she's going to be out there tearing it up, and there's not a lot you can do unless you have like no cards in your hand, in which case go for it. The term bounce is going to get thrown around a lot, and I think it comes from this card. It's got Tigger and Roo on it from Winnie the Pooh, and it's an action, and it says return chosen character of yours to your hand to return another chosen character to their player's hand. So basically, you put you pick a character up, and then somebody else has to pick a character up, and there's a lot, especially from the Sword and the Stone. There seems to be a lot of this bounce action where you put something down and then you pick up. You either have to pick up that card immediately, or you pick up another card. And I think the implication there is that if there was damage on that card, the damage gets wiped away as it goes back into your hand, which is, beneficial, especially if you've got some bigger characters that have been soaking up damage, bodyguard characters, for example. And some of these Emerald cards are getting into some territory where I'm not sure about the wording. We've got Hypnotize, which is an action, and it is Jungle Book themed. It costs 3. Each opponent chooses and discards a card. Draw a card. I think in a better wording for that, it would say you draw a card, or everybody draws a card. This wording is a little ambiguous. We've got Panic, and he's a underworld imp, not inkable, costs 3, comes out as a 2/3, quest for 2, which is, decent, I guess. And his power of I can't handle it is when you play this character, chosen character gets +2 attack this turn. If the chosen character is named Pain, he gets 4 instead. So a little of that tag team action like we saw with Flotsam and Jetsam. But in this version, it's Pain and Panic. So here we're getting into something you might want to build a deck around. Bucky, which I want to say is he's the squirrel from Emperor's New Groove. I think, is there a squirrel in that? He's got ward, so he can't be chosen except to challenge, so you can't use fire the cannons or something like that on him. Whenever you play a Floodborn character, each opponent chooses and discards a card. So if you had a deck that had a bunch of Floodborn in it, throw in a couple of these little buckies. He only costs 2. He is inkable if you need to use him for something else. He's a 1/1, but that's not what you're playing him for. He also quests for 1, but again, who cares? Whenever you play a Floodborn character, somebody has to discard a card. So remember a couple of cards ago, I said you really want to watch out how you word these things? Well, here's a perfect example. We've got Beast, Relentless. Now, Beast costs 6, and he is inkable. And for that 6, you do get a 4/5. He quests for 2, but he's got something called Second Wind. And it says, whenever an opposing character is damaged, you may ready this character. So that kind of begs the question, if he's already challenged, can he challenge again? If he's already quested, can he quest again? The prevailing wisdom is that once you've done one of those things, you can only do it once. And so many cards dictate that you can say only quest. Now, he does quest for 2, so, I mean, if you used, whenever an opposing character is damaged, you could run that in a bunch of different ways. Just challenging, smash. How many times is Beast going to be able to go out for lore in this instance? I don't know. And frankly, I think people are going to get heated when it comes to talking about it. Another great little green card here, and I can see having just 4 of these, and they're super common, so you're gonna have them just from opening packs, is Improvise. And it's a Mulan card, and it says that whenever a chosen character gets +1 attack this turn and draw a card. This is Friends on the Other Side light, plus you get a little bonus off of this. This is like the best card in the game as far as I can tell. We've got a bunch of really great cards. Emerald is full of stuff. Another 2, I'm almost done with green, I promise. Daisy Duck's Secret Agent is a great introduction to Daisy, who I think is an underplayed character. She's got a dance school, for goodness sakes. She's cost 4. She is inkable. You get a 2/3 that quests for 2, which is in and of itself fine. And whenever this character quests, each opponent chooses and discards a card. I think that someone who doesn't have some sort of preparation for drawing extra cards is going to be hurting when this Floodborn expansion comes out, because there's so many opportunities for you to just pull cards from the opponent's hand. People are going to be playing. It's just going to slow the game down if people aren't prepared for it. The meta obviously will take this into consideration, but I think this is a complete game changer. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but as a very small child, my absolute favorite movie was Alice in Wonderland. And while I would love to see Alice introduced, I'm also very happy to see the Queen of Hearts. This here, quick tempered. When you play this character, deal 1 damage to chosen damaged opposing character. So it's not just that she comes in for 2. She's not inkable, but I think that's understandable in this situation. She's a 1/2, which again is fine, and she quests for 2, which is nice. You can get this out early in the game, but if you've already inflicted some damage at this point, you just get another boom free hit in there. Wow. There is a Amethyst card that is Elsa Gloves Off, which I believe is a reference to the second of the Frozen movie, since she's riding that pale white horse. And she's a challenge +3. For 4, you get a 3/4. I think this would be a great addition to any deck. And then we've got Merlin. He costs 4. He's inkable. He's a 1/5, so again, he's not going to put the hurt on anybody, but whenever one of your other characters is returned to your hand from play, this character gets +1 questing, which is nice because you're going to be returning characters to your hand left and right in this game. Another absolutely hot card is the Sorcerer's Spellbook. And this one lets you spend 1 ink, exert the card, and gain 1 lore. This is not a rare card, but it is going to be the backbone. I don't know how many times I've been, just a couple of lore short and really hurting in a situation where this would have come in very, very handy. Probably you've seen this one. You've definitely seen this. The art for this is Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard. And it's not in and of itself a fantastic card. It doesn't do anything game changing. It's actually very common. You're going to have 10 of these, but it costs 5. He's a 5/5. You can ink it if you need to. So it's good in the mid game, good in the end game. He quests for 2. And the art on this is absolutely stunning. I haven't really gone into a lot of explanations of the art, but if you haven't seen this, it's Winnie the Pooh meditating on top of a beehive wrapped in a purple cloak. He's holding a giant honey wand dripping with honey. The bees are around him. The flowers are, in the periphery, and he is content. The card reads, he'd always felt a kinship with honey. They were both golden and sweet and likely to end up in sticky situations. It's just perfect, and that's why you're going to see it on playmats and card sleeves and t-shirts. And if they don't have a poster of this in a couple of days in the parks, I'm going to be very, very surprised. So I haven't looked at the entire set, and I'm not going to go through them one by one because there's at least 7 of them. But there is an extended sequence in The Sword and the Stone where Madame Mim and Merlin have a wizard fight or a magic fight, and there's a lot of bouncing going on in here. I'm going to take an excerpt from Madame Mim Fox, and her power is chasing the rabbit. When you play this character, banish her or return another chosen character of yours to your hand. So if you've got a character that is damaged that you would like to return to your hand so you can play it again fresh, that would be great. If you have a card that benefits you from banishing characters, you could actually just play Madame Mim and then immediately banish her, and that you'd pay the 3 ink, but then you'd get the bonus for whatever the banishment bonus would be. But we've got rabbits, we've got foxes, we've got squirrels, we've got snakes, we've got crabs, we've got goats, and even purple dragons. There is a virus in that movie. I hope I'm not giving them too much away. If you have not seen the film, it's actually quite fun. It's from the kind of a weird period in Disney's history where I think they were sort of floundering and trying new ideas. So I kind of find it appealing. It's not Black Cauldron level weird, but you might like it. Steel is coming in hot with this Floodborn thing. And, the Dreamborn as well. We've got Cinderella, stout-hearted, and I absolutely love what they're doing with Cinderella here. They're painting this rich tableau where instead of scullery maid, she's a knight in training. And this 7-cost Cinderella shifts for 5. She's resistant for 2, which I think is a great new feature. of this set. Resist basically means that the first, in this case, she's resist +2. The first 2 damage that she receives doesn't count. So if you hit her for just 2, it counts as 0. So basically, she's like a 5/7, if kind of. But she's also resistant, so it's great. She also quests for 3, which is nice. And whenever you play a song, this character may challenge ready characters this turn. So not only this is quite possibly the best card in this set, as far as I can tell, because there's a lot of Cinderellas out there. You can shift her for 5. She's resistant for 2. And if you have a bunch of songs, she can't sing them, but she can definitely, challenging ready characters, and she quests for 3. This is super versatile. Something a little less versatile, but still very nice to look at, is Tiana. Now, you can't ink this Tiana. She does cost 4, and you get a 1/4 for that. But she is dressed ready for Mardi Gras in a lovely gown with a cape and a headdress tiara thing. She also has a mask, and she's also resistant to 2. And you get what you get while this character is exerted and you have no cards in your hand. Opponents can't play actions. She also quests for 2. I'm not sure that's going to be as useful. Actions aren't the backbone of a lot of decks, but, interesting. We've got the Prince. Meets this gal for a couple of hours at a party, gets her shoe, and then runs off on an armored horse to find her. This guy's dedicated, and he's also got bodyguard and resist. He only costs 3. He's a 1/3, and he also quests for 2. This guy's gonna hold it together for you in the early game, and also just kind of soak up some damage later in the mid game and end game. Sure, why not? We've got more Cinderella. This one's Knight in Training. This time she's wearing like leather practice armor and assaulting a scarecrow. She plays for 2. She's inkable, and she's a 2/2. When you play this character, you may draw a card, then choose and discard a card. I think we've seen this sort of ability before. She's also a 2. You can shift onto this one real easy. Plus, it's super accessible, so I would definitely have 4 of those in my deck. I think another good little piece of art and something that pulls away is this Dreamborn Donald Duck Deep Sea Diver, which shows some beautiful art of Donald in like a piece of scuba equipment designed for a duck, which I think is great. You got Minnie in the background, and he costs 5. He's a 6/5. He only quests for 1. I could do without, but I love that art. I want to see what's happening with this whole, like, is Minnie gonna be also diving? Are we gonna find treasure? I want to find this treasure that they're searching for. Another really great card. It doesn't speak to me, but I love the direction they're going, is Gaston, Intellectual Powerhouse. He's dressed in his best steampunk finery. He's got his goggles strapped to his head. He's standing in front of a magical dry erase board that's got his plans to defeat the beast and win Belle's heart. He costs 6. He's not inkable. He's a 4/4. So what are you getting for your money? He shifts for 4, which is nice. He quests for 3, which is also nice. And when you play this character, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may put 1 in your hand and the rest in the bottom in any order. So, for if you've already got a couple of Gastons in your deck, it wouldn't hurt to throw this one in here. He's not as durable at 4/4 as some of the other Gastons that we've seen. I'd like to see at least I see like a 5-6, you know. So I think a big deal is going to be Prince Charming, heir to the throne. He costs 4. He is inkable. He's a 3/3, so nothing exceptional. He doesn't have any special abilities at all, but he quests for 3. And I think for a early game, mid game, this guy's going to be, cannon fodder. People are going to come after him. But if you could get him to quest once or twice, I think you got something going on. And lastly is 4 dozen eggs, which is a song. It costs 4. It is inkable. And it says that your character gains resist +2 until the start of your next turn. So that means that you get it on your turn. You get it on your opponent's turn, all of your opponent's turn, especially if you're playing a multiple players. And yeah, that's big. And any of those characters that have resist are going to be highly prized. So the ability to give that power to them for, if only for a minute, is going to be real nice. But anyway, man, have you seen how long this episode is? This is our longest episode. So I'm going to cut it off now. Ashes to ashes, funk to funky, we know Mr. Toad's a junkie.